And welcome everyone to game number 2 of the MSL Code Silver Semifinals. This is of course another match between this green Zerg player down here, cleverly named Bean, probably after these weird lumps, and his orange Terran opponent in the top right hand corner, Blitz. So the previous game was pretty back and forth even until the murder of mutas became established, and then all the units that shot up for Blitz were actually taken out. That was actually a really small number, as it was mostly Hellbats and Banshees. There were a few Marines and a few Marauders, so there wasn't very much anti-air available, and when he went out and attacked, he ended up losing quite a bit. So one thing here to point out is, first off, Blitz is no longer a Terran player. So Blitz is actually playing random. So I'm gonna give a shout out to all the random players out there. I'm actually a random player. It's quite fun, in my opinion, because you get to practice all the cool different fun little things. And that's the reason, so with Blitz being random, this is the reason you see such a ridiculously early scout from Bean, because if it's a Zerg, he could have 6-pooled you already. The pool would be done already. So it's something important to notice. We do see a variation from Bean, however, though, in response to this Forge Fast Expand. Oh no, it's a Gateway Expand. This is more dangerous. Gateway Expands, cool. All the pros do it. I thought that probe was locked in there, actually. Gateway Expands are a little bit more dangerous because you don't have enough units out to shoot from behind your wall. So your wall might fall. So we'll see. This could be a little bit dangerous. We are in Neoplanet S. Notice the circular attack paths, nothing directly through the middle. We do see occasional games where people take this as their first expansion, and then everyone goes crazy because, to be honest, that's super awesome. Bean keeping this drone alive for seemingly forever, trying to make sure that his opponent doesn't do something crazy, because it does look like he's going to be going for some fast lings here in a moment. Wait for it. Nope, actually going with more drones. So just a really early pool and no expansion. And 300 minerals. It's a little bit odd. Waiting for that base to be thrown down. There we go. Okay, so it's not going to be an aggressive one base build. Instead, we're going to see a gateway expand, or hopefully a gateway expand, against a pool first, or pool gas hatch build, which is much more rare. Because generally, if your opponent is going to be walling himself in, you want to spend all your minerals to get a bigger economy, so then when they can finally leave their wall, you also have a large attacking force. However, the gateway expand's a little different from the Forge expand, because there's a threat of units more quickly. It just depends on what exactly is going to be happening. This is not as much of a wall as I would like. This is still totally available for a run by. So that could be a problem. I foresee that being a problem here in the future. Ooh, and interesting. Some lings being made from Bean. He's feeling a little bit under pressure, although I'm not entirely sure why. Perhaps it's because he saw the Cybercore finish, and it's very common to see a Stalker and a Zealot, or a Zealot and 2 Stalkers, go out and move across the map, particularly with a Mothership core. But we're not seeing that, and it looks like we might see a beginning of a run-by, as there's nothing to prevent that, and also there's no expansion yet, so it's not as much the end of the world. Nope, not going to see that. We're just going to see an early Evo chamber. That's interesting. Got to do something with all that gas, as you are using 2 gas geysers already, which before 6 minutes is pretty early for double gas. For a Zerg player, particularly. We do see some additional links there. Now he's noticing that wall off is not a wall. Sentry, okay. Zealots, Stalker. This would be quite good against most lings, actually, at this point in time. Looking at the units, 8 lings against 3 Zealots. If that's microed correctly, or the positioning is done correctly, this could totally stomp on the force of his opponent at this point, as his opponent's actually really broke, as he's been droning pretty hard. Now he's making some additional lings. He's going for a +1 melee upgrade here pretty quick. Wants to make these lings do a lot of damage for him. Going with another evolution chamber. Do we have speed done? Yes. So the lings will not suck. Oh, and I missed the run by. Oh my goodness, choking on my own saliva. So this will get cleaned up, but he lost way too many. Where is it? 7 workers. That's painful. The mothership core coming out just a moment too late. So that Ling run by, that is a problem. Just FYI. That's usually why you have the buildings a little bit closer or a pylon right here to sort of restrict that size. And something, I feel like he could have handled this better. He surrounded all the Lings with his probes. However, probes do so bad, and you actually had fighting units there. Instead, what I would have liked to see is done some mineral walking, which you don't know. Grab all your probes and spam click on some of the minerals, and they'll all condense down into the size of roughly 1 or 2 probes. And you can keep the surface area a lot smaller that way. So these zealots should be on hold position. Yes, they are. Otherwise, they would have already charged through. They are an integral part of this wall. There's not much DPS behind this, so they could actually focus down this gateway. I don't know if he actually... The force fields, I think, should have been a little bit farther back. However, he does survive, so achievement unlocked. Living against the Ling aggression is so far being achieved. Most of the energy from that sentry has been forced out, though. And there's not much more in production. So with a lot of these Lings, this could be bad, especially if these Zealots go down, as there's only 2 Stalkers and a sentry behind this. And does the Mothership Core have it? Yes, it does. Okay, so it could throw down a Photon Overcharge, so this shouldn't be too much of a big problem. Although Baneling Nest is going down, and at the same time, a Dark Shrine. So this is a win behind Dark Shrine, as he's feeling a little bit under the gun, as he does have less workers, because he lost some. He's been chrono boosting both Nexi, trying to get some additional workers out, which is a good thing. But because he felt like he lost a lot to that, he decided to go ahead and throw down a Dark Shrine and a Templar. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm all tired. The Twilight Council. Some Dark Templar being warped in. This could be good. Okay, so the proper way to do this, we have a Spire on its way. We have 2 Dark Templar. Is he going to make more? The proper way to do this, you have to split them up at the same time. You don't want to put them both in the same place, because then it's easy to send an Overseer to exactly one place and then have your army go kill things. Oh, it gets spotted! That's brutal. And the Dark Templar will be revealed before they get into the base. That's terrible. Oh, no. So we do see the Overseer now in production. These Dark Templar are now not going to be able to get in and do very much at all. He's actually trying to block off the Zealots, or the Dark Templar. Just focus down a Baneling, which is not a bad thing, but these Dark Templar are not using their DPS very well, and now they're just going to be cannon fodder for these Lings. They do get pretty well shoved into this corner. They a little bit less surface area for the Lings, but turns out Dark Templar are only good when they're still invisible. So behind this, we do see 5 Mutas from his opponent, and we see Blink coming down from Blitz. We have a lot of Chrono Boost energy available, and we do see +2 weapons for Bean as well. So it looks like Bean very much favors the Ling Muta composition. It's actually good. It's a good composition. It's one that's been around for a long time. Wow, that's a lot of gateways. This could get interesting here in a little bit. Ling Muta is more commonly seen against other Zerg and Terran players. Terran, because once you expose the Mutas, they see that you're building those. Ooh, going for the bust. This is a really weak part of the wall. Bam, bam. Now they can just run in. Are they gonna run in? They're just gonna run in. Force field, force field. No, not good enough. Force field. This is actually going to be really, really hard to manage, as he's still going to pay attention to that front, and he's going to link so many of these probes here. He needs to be trying to evacuate these probes, and instead it looks like he's just going to lose them, and these Stalkers not even contributing. Photon Overcharge does go down, and it will go ahead and take out the remainder of these Zerglings. Doesn't even lose the Stalker. Nice. But, yeah, Baneling busts. Oh, so, anyway, Ling Muta Baneling is most effective against Terran, in my opinion, and also other Zergs. Particularly, oh no, and the Mutas as well. No probes. Looking at the units, 31 workers killed. That's gotta hurt. The Stalker should be able to push that back for a moment. That will cause additional problems, though, as now it's 19 workers to 43. But generally, the Ling Muta Baneling combination works as the other opponent will build things that are good against mutas, and many things that are good against mutas are really bad against banelings. And then you use the lings as additional army composition. In fact, in Muta Wars, in ZVZ, at the very beginning of Heart of the Swarm, Muta Wars were basically what everything was. You teched, and whoever had the most mutas won. And Zerglings actually turned out to be a very important part of that composition because the mutas deal splash damage. Right? So splash damage is great. And if the Zerglings were parked underneath your own units, the splash damage would go down and deal damage to the Zerglings instead of to the mutas, and so it was a really important part that you also have more Zerglings than your opponent, just to make sure that they could tank some of that damage for those mutas, which, bizarre as it may seem, was totally how everything worked. They patched the Spore Crawler to give additional damage to biological. Yeah, 45. They 3-shot mutas now. So they did that, so the ZVZ matchup is a little bit more stable, in my opinion, now. It's a good thing. And then also, against Terran it works really well, because they see a whole bunch of mutas, and then they want to build Marines, because Marines are an easy way to defend against mutas. And what are Marines worst against? Banelings. So, that's really all I'm driving at. We do see the Robotics Bay almost, well, it's not almost done. It is, however, totally been started. However, Blitz is just so broke, he's got absolutely no income. He's still continuing to mine gas out of both things, but without any minerals, the gas is a little bit useless. And now these mutas are making their way in. He doesn't have enough to warp in even any stalkers. He's going to be able to pull these stalkers back, and he needs to throw down a photon overcharge here in a moment. He's not reacting! React! React! Okay, photon overcharge. Good first step. More stalkers. Good first step. Second step, take these other stalkers, because that many stalkers is not enough to defend against that many mutas. At least it shouldn't have been. If your opponent wanted to, he could have eaten those for breakfast. Instead, he's going to save them for hors d'oeuvres. It's fine. Good creep spread. Lots of active creep tumors that have a creep spawn available. So could see a little bit better there, but good overall creep spread. Like having the extra queen to get that done. Worker count, or unit count, we still have 39 workers to 33, so actually Blitz has done quite good in rebuilding his economy, but just looking at the units lost, he's actually only ahead by 50. That's quite impressive. So in terms of military units, he's not lost very many, as his opponent has been throwing unit after unit after unit. Now they're both on 2 bases, they both have almost the same economy again. The problem's going to be this 3rd base. The supply difference, that's not as big of a deal in PvZ, particularly. Oh, no. Okay, Extended Thermal Lance will finish. These stalkers should be able to help. Yeah, now he's got some additional income. He should be able to push these back. He's going to depower those gateways there, which is going to be a little bit annoying. But luckily, they weren't actually building, and he has 5 more back here. But in general, a great idea, and continuing to be aggressive with these mutas. Just trying to keep your opponent pinned back. Remember, especially in Silver League, a lot of times it's a lot harder to multitask for Silver League players than it is for Grandmasters, particularly. And so being all over the place and just keeping your opponent guessing where things are going to come from first or next can actually be really, really beneficial. As long as you have the APM to spare while continuing to macro. So multitasking generally favors the player with the better APM. So we'll see so far that on average, Blitz is a little bit below Bean, not terribly below. But it is something worth noting. However, now the number of mutas has reached that murder of muta size, and they could directly engage these stalkers, but they've for some reason chosen not to. The Mothership Core has enough energy for a photon overcharge, so he could be able to defend this here pretty well, although I think Bean is instead waiting for this Ultra Cavern, because remember, he's been favoring all of the melee and carapace upgrades throughout this entire series so far, and Ultras are so good against anything with armor. They're a little bit better now in Heart of the Swarm, and now they have almost 3/3 upgrades. There's at least 3, so it'll have 3/2 upgrades. And not going to be getting that chitinous plating quite yet. But it's a really good upgrade. Then your ultras end up having something like 6 armor, and it's ridiculous. Because they start out with 1 or 2, then you get +3, then you get +2, and all of a sudden Zerglings don't actually do any damage. It's like they heal faster than they take damage from Zerglings. It's quite depressing if you're friends with any Zerglings. So the Colossus is up. The Colossus should help out quite a bit against the Lings. Oh, we do see chitinous plating. Nice. Finishing much more quickly than +3. Just want to point that out. 110 seconds versus 220. The mutas here continuing to be annoying. These Stalkers do have Blink, and I don't believe that he has revealed that yet. And so he's going to be... he needs to blink back. He has all these Stalkers! Defend! You can't build any more Colossi. This is going to be a problem. There's only 1 Colossi and all Stalkers. Not the greatest composition for a whole bunch of Ultras being produced. This could be a little bit scary. I do like that Blitz is continuing to check around the map for additional expansions. And it does look like that now that Bean has completely stopped muta production. He's reached that murder of muta size and doesn't feel the need for any at this point in time. As long as he doesn't lose them, they should last the rest of the game. Clearly, if he doesn't lose them, they did last the rest of the game. But they should continue to provide additional value, even though their DPS isn't generally the greatest in head-on fights. Oh, this could be very unfortunate. So the mutas are going to be called back to action. The Stalkers here are not quite in the right position, and the Mothership Core is gone. So they don't have enough DPS here, in my opinion. So the Robotics Phase is actually going to be taken down again. All of these workers taken out again. The Stalkers getting a lot of free kills, actually. A lot more than they should. And it looks like instead Blitz is not recalling. He is instead going to go for it. These Stalkers spreading themselves out. They're going to get picked off one by one by all of these mutas. He needs to group all of them together. He needs the rest of them. Come back! Come help your friends! Come help your friends. Engagement down here. The Colossi getting some good damage done on all those Lings, but the Stalkers getting absolutely obliterated by those Colossi. But it looks like they gave the Colossi enough time to go ahead and kill that. But now, what does he have left? Back home, he has lost, I do believe, every single one of his probes. Oh, nope. We just have these 9, 8. We have 8 probes left. 8 probes versus 20... Or, no, that's 18. Yeah, that's 18 mutas. This is looking a little bit unfortunate. The Colossi here is going to be able to keep doing some decent damage. It looks like another one has been taken out. But the reinforcing the Lings is what I think would happen there. But I don't think in a base race scenario this is going to work out at all, as Blitz has absolutely nothing at his base anymore. And Bean has 4 bases. So that Colossi never did get extended thermal lance, and it is going to be taken out immediately. And although Bean has sustained some pretty good losses, the losses are much higher for Blitz. And I feel like once those mutas go back in, and particularly once the Zerglings get back up there, this will be probably game over, and it looks like Bean will probably be going to a quick 2-0 lead in this best of 5. These Stalkers, not being enough of them, he does blink under them. Nice. Gonna get almost gets another kill. And now, actually, there's not near as many mutas. We're only down to 11, and notice how much less scary this is. Given, yes, it's less than half as many of them, but because of the relatively low DPS and health, it really, once they get down below like 18 or so, it's really much more manageable for even this number of Stalkers to take them out in a head-on fight. I just don't think that this is a good engagement. Being in on creep, blink away, blink away, blink away, continue running, get off of creep, get off of creep. Okay, but the Speedlings are still going to be faster than you are, and instead it looks like Blitz is throwing down the well-played. Another good game, another one that was drawn out. The early aggression did not kill off Blitz, and it looks like we're going to get to see if Blitz gets to play Zerg in this next matchup, so then we can have all the matchups in one series. That would be awesome. So hold on just a moment and we'll be back.